It is now the turn of the 20th century. The Indian economy was stabilizing and the political movement was inspiring many local businessmen and political figures to set up banks for the Indians. All these banks operated in different segments of the economy and most served a particular ethnic, caste or religious community. The early 1900s saw the establishment of banks such as Bank of India, Corporation Bank, Indian Bank, Bank of Baroda, Canara Bank and of course Central Bank of India. Now the first challenge was sustenance. As deposit mobilization was slow, the public had lesser confidence in banks. This transpired to shut down more than 90 banks, but the ones that survived were walking on thin ice. This state of the banks reflected the most on its employees who were mistreated and subject to absolute slavery.
Well, Shushilda, you were one of the very few living personalities who was associated with the bank employees trade union movement from the very primary days. In those days, the social system was totally feudalistic. Exploitation was very high. Humanity didn't have any respect and dignity. And the bank employees also, they were also under a lot of distress.
The condition was the employees they were half-fed. They could not maintain their family. Hard labor up to midnight. I know employees who were arrested while returning home from work at 2 o'clock in the night. They were arrested by the police.
Right.
That examples are also there. And the poor salary that they got, they could not maintain their family.
एक समय था बैंक एम्प्लॉइज की जो हालत है बस से बदतर थी। एम्प्लॉइज के आने का टाइम था, जाने का टाइम नहीं था। एक बारी किसी एम्प्लॉई से एम्प्लॉयर ने पूछा कि तुम्हारे कितने बच्चे हैं, तो उसने बताया कि मेरे 3 बच्चे हैं। जब एम्प्लॉयर ने पूछा कितने बड़े हैं, तो उसने एम्प्लॉई ने बताया कि इतने इतने इतने। तो एम्प्लॉयर बोलता है कि आमतौर पे तो बच्चे यही बताया जाता है कि इतने हैं या इतने हैं। वो बताता है सर जब जाता हूं, जब सुबह आता हूं तो बच्चे सोए हुए होते हैं, जब घर में जाता हूं तब भी बच्चे सोए हुए होते हैं।
The employees of Calcutta were the most affected and battered by the capitalist bank merchants. It was inevitable for the first strike motions to begin here. Leading this charge was Comrade Prabhatkar of Lloyds Bank, one of the first AIBs.
According to me, would not have been justified, but I don't think that they should not have made it.
Well, Monada, you must appreciate one thing, that the bank employees, within the 3 years of their formation, they went on a historic strike through which Comrade Prabhatkar and of course you are one of them.
I can remember one incident.
Please.
When a very senior employee in Lloyds Bank slumped on the table. Everyone wanted to tell time is up to get ready for an organization to protest against this type of cruelty. Then who came to be the leader? We selected Comrade Prabhatkar. Because of his background, because of his manifestation of love for the people, he made it very clear to the workers, unless greater unity is there, and united struggle is there, united protest is there, nothing can succeed.
This burst of protest that began primarily from Calcutta, Bombay and parts of Uttar Pradesh soon caught resonance with the rest of the country. Bank unions were formed and led by the most influential comrades.
इस वृक्ष के नीचे जहाँ पे यूपीबीयू का गठन हुआ था, ये सौभाग्य है कि हम आपके सामने खड़े हैं। ये हम जानना चाहेंगे पीवाई जी कि इतना बड़ा जो विशाल एक संस्था आपने तैयार किया था, यहाँ से शुरुआत हुई थी।
इसी स्थिति में इलाहाबाद के अंदर जो बैंक कर्मचारी थे सभी बैंकों में दुखी थे और मैनेजमेंट हम लोगों को गुलाम की तरह समझता था। अब लोगों ने लीड लिया कलकत्ते के लोगों ने कि आइए हम लोग कलकत्ते में मिल करके सारे लोगों की, सारे स्टेट की एक यूनियन बनाए। पहला लाइन ऑफ स्टार्ट होता है हम लोग का इलाहाबाद के नगर के बैंक कर्मचारी। तो जो यूनियन भी बनी उसका नाम था बैंक कर्मचारी यूनियन। वी वर लिमिटेड ओनली टू द एक्सटेंट ऑफ इलाहाबाद। ऐसे जब इलाहाबाद में बना, लखनऊ में खड़ा हो गया, ऐसी यूनियन बन गई, कानपुर में बन गई, वाराणसी में बन गई। तो इस तरह से जो जहाँ गए पॉलिटिकल लीडर के माध्यम से वी हैव ऑर्गेनाइज्ड आवरसेल्फ। जब ये 2, 4, 6 जगह बड़े बड़े स्टेशन बन गई तो उसकी वजह से हम लोगों ने सोचा कि क्यों ना हम इसको स्टेट वाइज यूनियन बनाएं।
Meanwhile, at Bombay, some of the bank-level unions were beginning to unite to form a more coherent unit at the state level.
Mumbai, it was really a fascinating and very interesting struggle taken place in various banks, and the union started forming.
At that time, prior to 1946, most of the unions that were the president were from the political party.
In the Mumbai,
they came together and they decided to form the federation of all the banks. And the All India All Bank Federation was formed. That was known as the Bombay State Bank Employees
Bombay State Bank Employees Federation.
All were in Bank of India. They took the very fine lead in the organizing these things of the state committee or state federation.
One such leader emerged during this time and went on to become AIBEA's greatest son, Comrade Parwana from the Punjab National Bank.
Comrade P.R. Mehta, you are having your experience in the organization for more than 4 decades. All India Bank Employees Association had faced a lot of challenges in Punjab National Bank.
Comrade Gautam, you have rightly pointed out that All India PNB Employees Federation is one of the very old organizations. Comrade Parwana used to invariably quote that if any experiment is to be done against the employees and their organization, PNB is the experiment ground. It was the longest gun fight which All India PNB Employees Federation as a bank-wise organization gave. When there was a 50-day strike, and as a consequence of that, organization was founded, All India PNB Employees Federation.
But while many such city-level leaders were organizing local strikes, a group of bankers quietly from Bengal felt it was not enough to fight at the bank level, but organize a national body that focuses on entrusting banking reforms in the country.
Well, Guru Razda, we are really fortunate enough to have a bit of your precious time. We like to ask you one simple thing. The relationship of All India Trade Union Congress with AIBA is for a long, long time, from the very days of its inception.
AIBA was born maybe in 46. AITUC played a positive role in bringing into existence the organization. Comrade Dange, the then General Secretary of the AITUC, was instrumental in giving new ideas and new shape to the body. Therefore, relationship between AITUC and AIBA is very cordial and one of comradeship and one of deep and very effective association. Now the point is, from 1946, AIBA has played a most glorious role in pioneering and in effectively organizing the struggle of the bank employees.
Naresh Paul and Jyoti Ghosh thus laid the foundation for the formation of All India Bank Employees Association in India.
Well, Kamalda, we are now standing in a very important location of the city of Kolkata, and incidentally, this is the city, and very near to it, adjacent to these two roads, that is Bremon Road and NS Road, there on the banks of Ganges in the year of 1946, few courageous youth of this city, they thought of to form a organization.
Naturally, as you said, you are right, few courageous bankmen decided to form an organization to free the bank employees from the custody of the bank laws. In Congress, who were followers of Subhash Chandra Bose,
Okay.
they took the leading part in organizing the bank employees movement in Bengal. As a result of that, Ramesh Chakraborty, who was an officer of
Bank of India,
became the General Secretary. K.C. Niyogi was the president of AIB.
This smart move of AIBA leaders to have Mr. Niyogi on their side, the then Congress Member of Parliament, had very positive repercussions. It enabled the agenda of the organization to be represented at the government level.
In the year 1949, this banking was brought under the Central Industrial Dispute Act.
Yes. There were a lot of strikes in year 1948 and at the state levels. And at the state level, the wage scale of banks were different. So there were naturally, even the managements were interested that there should be a central legislation rather than the state. So there was a meeting in the month of March or April 1949, presided over by Mr. Jaleshwar Prasad, who was then the Chief Labour Commissioner. Myself had an privilege to attend that meeting along with Comrade Achal Parwana. So there in that meeting, the decision was taken that a reference be made to the government that the banking should be brought under the central law. And that provided an opportunity for the unions also to reorganize themselves.
The government was then pushed to refer the issues of the unions to tribunals. A tribunal is an independent jurisdiction named after the chair, often a retired judge of India's highest courts. The cases of the victimized employees was taken up by the tribunal that pronounced its judgment for reinstating employees across the nation. The same tribunal had a bigger purpose to serve. Beyond the employee restoration, they presented an award that gave class status to banks which determined wages to the employees.
So, same tribunal was the first tribunal formed for the bank employees.
National Tribunal.
It was the National Tribunal.
Same did one good thing. Although there was no AIBA was there just as one of the parties. For the first time, he standardized the pay scales of the bank employees all over the country. According to the size of the bank and according to areas. 9 pay scales, it was for the first time Shen Tribunal did. One common pattern of service condition for the bank employees all over. August 1950, it was published. Then the bankers challenged it before the Supreme Court. It was declared null and void in April 1951.
With the abandonment of the same tribunal, the agitations resurfaced across country. Strikes that brought new leaders to the fore in the form of D.P. Chadda and P.L. Sayal. This urged the government to form a national tribunal under the leadership of Justice S.P. Panchapakesa Shastri, popularly known as the Shastri Tribunal.
After the Shastri tribunal has started functioning, much awakening was there all over India, in various states also.
On January 5th, 1952, they issued an ordinance appointing this tribunal, Shastri tribunal. So from these discussions, one of the most important roles by Prabhat Kaur. He was a very, there was very few middle-class trade unions in India who were of that caliber.
Yes.
It was he told us for the first time, when you place a demand, that demand must be concrete and negotiable.
Concrete and negotiable. Yeah.
Second thing is, when you place a demand, it should be substantiated.
Yes.
So every statement we made before Shastri tribunal was substantiated. Afterwards, after very good fight, Shastri gave an award. It was less than the Sun award. There were some bad provisions.
Yes.
We went to Supreme Court, Labour Appellate Tribunal, we went for appeal.
Yes.
Instead of going to High Court and Supreme Court, Labour cases, you go to Labour Appellate Tribunal.
Yes.
These ramifications, though painful for the employees, yielded to a positive outcome for the organization. It gave an opportunity for state-level unions to unite and fight for greater reforms in banking and nationalization.
LAT, which is popularly known as a Labour Appellate Tribunal's period, has come. It is a great part of struggle.
Labour Appellate Tribunal was appointed in the year 1953, and that Labour Appellate Tribunal gave this recommendation or suggestion or accepted this contention of the bank employees that the award should be applicable throughout the country. The application of Reserve Bank of India was branches which are falling under stations where the population is below 30,000. The application of the award should not be there. Judge, seeing the mood of the bank employees, decided to reject the application of the Reserve Bank of India. C.D. Deshmukh thereafter, as a finance minister, interfered with the award in the year 1954 and decided that the application which was rejected of Reserve Bank of India by the judiciary should become applicable with the administrative action of the finance ministry.
Following this, strike was called for the first time by AIBEA collectively on the 23rd of September 1954. This is a landmark day to every single proud AIBEan. This, for the first time after 9 years since the birth of the organization, brought all state federations under one umbrella to fight for one cause, to fight for their rights. We are now entering a new chapter in the transformation of Indian banking. The AIBEA national conferences that followed this event molded the future of Indian banking forever. A.C. Kakkar was unanimously elected as the new president and Prabhat Kaur was made the general secretary. By this point, banks began to provide better service conditions to its employees. H.L. Parwana, a visionary that he was, felt this was not enough. He motivated members of the union to keep pushing for policy regulations. Although the government was referring the issue to various tribunals, they realized the situation was about to get out of control.
Comrade, as you said, it is to the glory of AIBA, which fought against the modification of Shastri Award and ultimately succeeded in implementing the LAT. Thereafter, in Thiruvananthapuram Conference 1964, AIBA ultimately decided no more tribunalization.
Trivandrum conference is unique in its own way. First time I became the Assistant Secretary. So in Trivandrum conference, we decided to call for work rule movement. Unique movement at that time. This is not a strike call. We used to attend the office at 10 o'clock, leave the office at 5 o'clock, took lunch for half an hour between 2 and 2:30. But we sat in our desks, but no work was conducted, slowly. So 15 days we conducted the work movements. For that, organization willpower has to be there. Organization has to be strong. All participated in the work movement. After 15 days, the entire industry was paralyzed. The economy was paralyzed.
The pressure was mounting on the government from all sides, from all levels. On one side, the government faced the individual bank employees' unions calling strikes for revision of wages and service conditions. And on the other was Parvana, Prabhakar and the top brass leaders of AIBEA demanding for banking reforms at the centre.
Bipartite era started in the banking industry in the backdrop of unique struggle, work to rule. The negotiations were conducted for more than 20 months. The bankers tried to disrupt the All India Bank Employees Association. Even there were physical attacks on Prabhakar and Parvana in the city of Mumbai, on Dalal Street in Union Bank of India, where the IBA chairman was sitting. The bank employees next day closed down the banking industry and went on a lightning strike of 2 hours and forced the bankers. And that is how the historic settlement of 19th October 1966, which is called first bipartite, got settled.
Still the agitations didn't stop. With the government streamlining the negotiations with the bankers, Prabhakar and Parvana knew that nationalizing banks was a near possibility. It was time to advance for the cause, since at that point there was a more pro-labor government at the centre, headed by Prime Minister Indira Gandhi.